Hey everyone, today's video is about English idioms. So a lot of my viewers have been requesting me to make a video about idioms because you want to use idioms maybe in your conversation with friends or maybe in the IELTS exam so as to impress them, right? So today I will introduce to you some of the best idioms that I've seen which I think can be so conveniently used and incorporated into your daily life conversation and also in exams. Without further ado, let's take a look. The first one is a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise. What this means is if you have just experienced something tragic, right? Say a loss or something, then your friend could say, hey, don't worry so much, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. So actually we have a Chinese equivalent, 塞翁失马焉知非福, right? When you have lost something, you don't know for sure whether it's a misfortune, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. The second phrase is don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. So what this means is that you shouldn't judge a person just because of how they look. You should also look inside to see who they are. When I was teaching my students this classic literature piece called To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus, one of the characters in the book, says this to his daughter. You shouldn't judge a person by how he looks, right? We should look deep inside. So you can use this phrase when you talk about friendship or when you talk about relationship and things like that. Pretty useful. The third one is the best of two worlds. So what this phrase means is that you can enjoy the benefits brought to you by two parties, right? For example, if you're living in a Chinese family in the States, then you get the best of two worlds by being exposed to a Chinese family which carries on the Chinese traditions and the American society which practices Western values and Western thinking. So you get the best of two worlds, right? You absorb the essence of both cultures. So that's what it means. Number 4 is get it out of your system. Get it out of your system. Sometimes we have this friend who keeps talking about something for a long time, right? For example,
I really want the Chanel bag. I really want it. Should I buy it? I really want it.
And then she keeps talking about it for such a long time that you're so fed up by it, right? So you say to your friend, just buy it. You have to get it out of your system, right? Just get it, which means once you do it, you can stop thinking about it, you can stop talking about it, and it's done, right? Case closed. Number 5 is give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes when somebody claims that they've done something or they haven't done something, we can't check for sure, so we don't know for sure. There's no proof, there's no evidence. So at this moment, if you want to choose to believe this person, you could say,
okay, I choose to believe you, I choose to give you the benefit of the doubt.
As a teacher, I always say this to my students when they say to me,
I forgot to bring my homework, but I've done it for sure.
So I will say, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Number 6 is in the heat of the moment. Sometimes when we're very angry, right, we will say something that we'll later regret. So you could say, oh, I'm sorry, I've said that to you because I was in the heat of the moment. So when you're angry, when you're enraged, when you can't think properly, you may do something that you will later regret. So you could say, I did that in the heat of the moment. Number 7 is take something with a grain of salt. So what this phrase means is that when somebody says something to you, when you don't know about this person's reputation, you should just take what he says with a grain of salt. You should be perhaps more careful, more prudent, and don't be so credulous. Say, for example, Amy, she likes to brag a lot, right? So what she says to you, you should take it with a grain of salt. Number 8, this phrase is a perfect phrase to use when you can't think well about what you want to say in an IELTS exam. You could say, well, just off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, right? Which means, well, okay, this is the first thing that comes to me, but maybe it's not the best one, but that's the first thing I can think of. For example, if the examiner asks you, so what is your favorite drink? You say, oh, well, off the top of my head, I would say it's Diet Coke. Number 9 is a very native idiom, which is called crunch time. Crunch time. So what this phrase means is the short period of time before something important, maybe before the deadline of a project, or maybe before competition, or maybe during competition, right? That's your crunch time. So for example, you could say,
I can perform very well without pressure, but I'm not sure how I can handle it at crunch time.
I'm not sure how I can handle it at crunch time. The last one today is ring a bell. Ring a bell. If something rings a bell to you, it means you kind of recall, you kind of remember it. For example, you want to remind your friend about something important, right? And then she totally forgot, right? So you want to say,
oh, don't you remember that the other day when we were shopping in Causeway Bay, I told you about this and that? Does it ring a bell?
Does it ring a bell? Means do you remember? Alright, so these are 10 idioms that I personally find very useful and very practical. So please make sure you learn them by heart. See you next time. Bye.